Hey, what's up, everybody? So today I want to look through the Packers' top 10 players from this Week 3 game versus the 49ers, and I'm going to do that by looking at PFF. Every single week they grade like every single NFL team, every single NFL player. So I want to go through the top 5 on offense as well as the top 5 on defense as well. And if you guys are new here, you want to see more Packers content, I put up Packers content pretty much every single day, so feel free to subscribe to the channel down below. So first off, obviously, the Packers came in there, beat the 49ers 30-28. I covered that in yesterday's video, sort of recapping sort of that game and sort of how I felt. I mean, honestly, that was such a crazy game. The Packers coming in there, winning in the last, few seconds with that Mason Crosby clutch field goal. Such an amazing game, such an amazing game. And overall, I mean, the Packers defense showed lots of good things. The Packers offense looked great. So I want to go through now I'm going to look at the top 5 from each offense and defense. I'll cover some others as well, but that's sort of the main focus. So taking a look here at PFF, you can see Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, the two highest graded players on the Packers offense, which honestly, not a surprise there that those are the two guys who are the best this week. So Davante Adams had a 91.6 grade, Aaron Rodgers a 81.8 grade. If you guys haven't seen the PFF grades before, the blue is like the highest, then green, and then we got like this. It slowly changes to red. If you're red, that's not good. If you're yellow, yellow and orange is like, okay, green is great, and I'd say like blue is like top of the charts, just the best. So we had Davante, 91.6 grade, and if we take a look at his stats here from this game, if I go here to, where is it? Receiving, I believe. So he had week 3, 18 targets, goodness gracious, 18 targets, 12 receptions, 132 yards receiving, 11 yards per reception, 1 touchdown. His highest grade so far this season, 87 grade last week, 91.6 grade this week. Goodness gracious. And he played 41.7% of his snaps were actually in the slot. That's sort of interesting. 45% last week, 58% out wide. So, Davante Adams had a great game. I talked about yesterday the fact that, when he got hit, that one play where he just got smacked in the head, which should have been a penalty, the fact that he came in a few plays later, was able to finish that game out. Good job. Solid job, Davante. Then we got Aaron Rodgers, 81.8 grade, and we take a look at his stats. He had a great game in this one. As you can see, week 1 grade 43 it was a bad game overall. We already know this for every Packers player. 70 grade last week, and an even better grade this week. So let's take a look at his passing grades here from PFF. Okay, where is it? So 33 attempts, 23 completions, 69.7% completion percentage, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns. And in this game, he had a 113.3 rating. Last week, he had a 145.6 rating. So an all-around good game from Aaron Rodgers. No question about that one, especially in the incoming and clutch. Then we have MVS as the 3rd ranked player here, a 73.6 grade. And as you can see here this is all offensive players. He had the best run blocking grade on the entire offense. Most of the offense was in like the 50s and 60s. MVS was at a 79.1. So, Matt LaFleur likes to see that. I don't even know how many receptions MVS actually had in this one. Let's take a look here. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 59 yards, 1 touchdown. So, pretty solid game. His best game so far for PFF grades. And then let's go back here to A.J. Dillon was the 4th highest graded player. Aaron Jones, where's Aaron Jones? He's down, where is he? Aaron Jones. Wait, I'm not seeing Aaron Jones here. Oh, there's Aaron Jones. So Aaron Jones is a few behind A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon with a 66.9 grade, a very high grade there in pass blocking for A.J. Dillon. Then Billy Turner, the lone offensive lineman here in the top 5 with a 63.6 grade. So those are the top offensive players. And if we take a look here at the bottom players here, Royce Newman had the worst grade. A 42.3 grade, which is not very good at all. Then we have Yosh Nijman here with also a bad grade. What I find interesting is, some of these linemen only allowed 1 sack overall, but I was saying that lots of these guys had pretty bad run blocking grades, which I think is sort of interesting. I can take a look at that a little bit later. So those are the top 5 there. And then now let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. The defense had a much better game this week than I'd say most weeks. So as you can see here, our actually number 1 graded player was Chris Barnes, who went down with an injury. He had an 81.4 grade. He only played in 10 snaps, though, 4 run defense snaps, 5 in coverage, 2 tackles, no receptions allowed there. So Chris Barnes had a good game before he went down with an injury. And then Tyler Lancaster, actually the 2nd highest graded player on the defensive line, a 79.3 grade for Tyler Lancaster. So a solid game from him, only 1 tackle. 1 assist. And then we got Jair Alexander. No question that, Jair is at the top there. There's no question about that. So a 78.6 grade for Jair. He had, let's see here. He was targeted 7 times, allowed 4 receptions for 43 yards. He did allow that 1 touchdown pass. It was like that short touchdown pass. And then he had 1 pass breakup and 1 interception. That interception was crazy. Like Jimmy Garoppolo threw that ball up to, who was it he was throwing it to? I can't remember who he was throwing to. But Jair, I saw this one ESPN metric where they were showing how fast he got there. The speed at which Jair broke to the route and somehow got there. It makes sense that Garoppolo threw the ball because you wouldn't think that Jair would have been able to get there. But he's a beast, so there's no question. One of the best in the NFL. So here's his grade. He allowed a 75.3 passer rating, 70 defensive snaps, his best grade of the year so far. So a good game from Jair. And then we take a look here. Oren Burks actually came in here and did pretty well. With Chris Barnes going down, 25 snaps for him, a 78 grade, 2 tackles. He actually had 1 sack in this game, and no receptions allowed there for Oren Burks. So luckily, our middle linebackers have been playing pretty well, especially in this game. With Chris Barnes, I'm pretty sure he had a pretty terrible game the first week, but luckily Oren Burks came in, filled in well, and had a solid game. One thing, too, I noticed ESPN said the Packers had 3 sacks, but PFF is saying 5 sacks. So I think that is interesting. They gave a sack to Jonathan Garvin, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, TJ Slayton, as well as Oren Burks. Now, number 5, you got TJ Slayton. Only played in 2 snaps, though. So, he had 1 sack, though, on his 2 sacks. So it makes sense he has a pretty high grade there. And then another guy who I talked about yesterday who I really loved in this game was Devondre Campbell. He can just fly around, and I was talking about his tackling ability. And as you can see here, his highest grade was in tackling. He is the highest grade out of any Packers players here for tackling. The next highest guy was Jair there. And Eric Stokes was good in tackling as well. So I love Devondre Campbell has been so good in this in these first few weeks. Great addition by the Packers. And then one thing I was curious about, I was talking about in the video yesterday, was how good did Eric Stokes play? Because he looked good at times, but there were a couple times where he got beat, a couple times where he had some. I think it was at least 2 defensive pass interference calls on him. So he was the 13th ranked defensive player in this game for the Packers. He played in 70 snaps, and he had a 51.8 grade. So that's not great. Let's see, his 49.5 run defense, 53 coverage, but a solid tackling grade. So at least he has been tackling well. 4 tackles. He was targeted 5 times, allowed 2 catches for 22 yards. So I feel like for Eric Stokes, obviously Kevin King was out in this game, and so Eric Stokes played a lot, and also Chandon Sullivan played a lot. Not very good. So I'm excited to see Eric Stokes continue to develop, because if you take a look at his past couple games, after 2 weeks, he was in the top 10 when it came to cornerback grades. As you can see, week 1 and only 8 snaps, a 79.3 grade. Week 2, a 72 grade. And then this was his worst week, for PFF grade, at least in this one. But if we take a look here, one concerning thing from this game, where we go here, Chandon Sullivan, who was, mainly playing in the slot in this game with Kevin King out, he had a 29.2 grade. Not good at all. He was targeted 6 times, allowed 5 receptions for 87 yards. Let's see, no touchdowns, but a 118.8 passer rating. So in week 2, we saw the Packers use a lot of Eric Stokes and Jair on the outside with Kevin King playing in the slot. And so if Chandon Sullivan continues to play this poorly, I think the Packers are going to want to use, Kevin King in that slot role. I know everyone loves to, hate on Kevin King because he does have, lots of plays that aren't necessarily the best, but with Chandon Sullivan playing that way, I think Kevin King, could be better overall in the slot. So hopefully the Packers can figure that one out. But those are the top 5 players. And then one other thing I want to take a look at here was there was one really interesting thing that PFF has here. Where is it? I think it was under passing direction and pressure. So they have this cool thing that shows where he threw it. And I wanted to look here at let's see. So you can see how many pressures he was kept clean, how many he was under pressure, how many not blitzed and when blitzed. So he was kept clean on 29 attempts in this game. He was under pressure on only 5 dropbacks, and he still completed 3 passes. When he was not blitzed, he had an insane 93 grade. He completed 18 of 24, and the 9 times he was blitzed, he, had 5 completions for 5 for 9, 30 yards, 1 touchdown there. His worst grade was when he's blitzed, which makes sense. If there are guys flying around you, you're probably not going to throw quite as well as, when you have a clean pocket. Another interesting thing, the Packers only had 3 play action passes. 31 non-play action, 7 screens, and 27 non-screens. So I thought that was another interesting thing. And then one thing to finish it off, I want to look at the offensive line, because they did well. They only allowed like 1 sack. I think it was maybe 5 pressures. Let's see here. Okay, so here is pass blocking overall. 6 pressures allowed total. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty solid. John Runyon allowed 2 of those pressures and 2 hurries. Josh Myers allowed 2 pressures and 2 hurries. And then Royce Newman allowed 1 pressure, and he allowed the 1 sack. So, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon here. Best pass blocking grade. Then we take a look at the offensive linemen. Let's see. Runyon, 67. Turner, 60. Yosh Nijman, 60. Josh Myers, 50. Not great. Royce Newman, 42. Not great there. So, I mean, overall, though, if the Packers, I think, line did well against a stacked 49ers front. And if we're able to hold up that well against the 49ers, I have, high hopes for the future, especially when Elton Jenkins is back, as well as David Bakhtiari. Then final thing, I think, here, run blocking. So, interestingly enough, I mean, these grades aren't, like, the best. I mean, MBS had a great run blocking grade, as we already talked about. But then Billy Turner, best run blocking on the offensive line. Who's next here? Yosh, 57. John, 53. Josh Myers, 52. Royce Newman, not a good run blocking grade there. So overall, they weren't like amazing in the run, which, as I said, makes sense against that stacked defensive line. But overall, still, I'd say overall, I was pleasantly surprised with the fact that the Packers were able to only allow 1 sack to Nick Bosa in that stacked offensive line or defensive line. But that's going to be it for this one. Subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Let me know if you like this video. Drop a like if you did enjoy this video. But next week we are facing off. Aren't we facing off against the Steelers next week? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're facing off against the Steelers next week, October 3rd, 3:25 p.m. So I'll be out with a prediction video in the next probably few days. So stay tuned for that one. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.